You have just clicked on a clip from the Bucket Hat Sam Talks Ball podcast. If you want to listen to the full episode, keep the link in the description down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, enjoy the video.
Nothing's going on, and then all of a sudden, Man United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just delivers every week. I swear we talk about him every single week, but I think this is going to be the last time we talk about him. Obviously, he has been sacked this week. Where I want to start just specifically on the sacking itself. Do you think it was the right decision? I know you're going to say no because you want him to
Firstly,
stay in.
I am gutted. I'm gutted for Ollie. I'm gutted for all football fans out there that aren't United fans, because this now means that this comedy few years of Man U has come to an end. So it's a very sad day, first and foremost. And Ollie was sad as well with his little tears. So everyone's very sad.
It was a very emotional. That was very emotional, that interview. If you haven't seen it, guys,
funny.
it's just what I think. I thought it was quite sweet. I'd say, like, it was
No,
very emotional.
he's a nice guy.
He's a nice
he's
guy.
a nice guy.
It's just when he cried when as he said Michael Carrick, which made me laugh because I can imagine it's the way he said it. The clips are brilliant for it. But do you think, though, like, non-biased now, not talking about football fans in general, do you think? I'm presuming you think it was the right decision. Surely you do.
Oh yeah, of course. You can't not think this was the right decision, really.
I was just double checking.
It should have gone the start of the season, halfway through last season, and the fact they've just delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. We don't really know why. I don't know if the way Man U is being run now is just that shambolic. And like, why would you wait until after the international break? You've given one game after a 2-week break and he's instantly gone. It makes no sense. So now they're panicking. They're panicking, looking around, trying to find someone. Well, they could have just done that for 2 weeks if they'd have done it before.
Yeah, I don't get it, because it's not like we all knew that the problems that the reason why they've sacked him. It's not like they've just kind of been sprung upon us. This has been going on for like a significant amount of time. Man United have been this kind of joke and this meme of a club recently. We all knew this was coming. As literally, as you said, I don't understand. About 2-3 weeks ago, it might have been longer. It's probably longer than that now. Looking back, a wise man in Antonio Conte was free as a manager, and I still believe he would have been perfect for that job, because I still don't think he's right for Tottenham, but I think Man United would have been perfect for him. The money they'd have been able to throw, because Man United throw money at the club, and it'd be Antonio Conte perfect. They would suit so well. I don't get the vision. And then obviously now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's been sacked, and they've kind of put in place Michael Carrick, as we've said, or Michael Carrick, as we'll call him now. But what do you make of it? What do you think it's? Do you get the decision? Like, before we even talk about the interim manager and things, what about Michael Carrick taking charge for temporarily? What do you think of it?
I don't think they had much choice, really, because like we said, it happened on the back of an absolutely atrocious defeat to Watford. Like, you deserve to be sacked, but then it's instant. It's the next day. So they haven't really got a plan in place. So it has to be Carrick. It has to be someone that's already there that knows the club. Yeah. So, and I'm guessing he hasn't got much expectation on him to deliver results. He's just there to steady the ship, keep the players' morale quite high, and then do a decent enough job until they do find the right candidate. But that's the question. It's who is the right manager for this job? Who is out there that
interim wise,
that jumps off the page? And that was the strange one about the official statement. So they've got Carrick until they appoint an interim manager.
Until the end of the season.
Why are you not just appointing, unless this is part of a bigger plan, but why are you not looking to appoint a manager?
So quite clearly, what I took from this, because I looked at it and had like I delved quite deep into this. You know what I'm like, and I tried to think about what they're trying to say here. And I think quite clearly they have a manager in like, either they've already spoken to a manager, or they have a manager who they believe they will get in the summer. I can't see what other message, because Man United aren't ridiculous. Their board must be slightly switched on in some sense. That they have a plan in the big picture. That I believe that in the summer they have got a manager in line, whether that's Pochettino or Ten Hag. I don't understand what else they could have been doing. With you trying to explain it to me, what else other than that? What else can you take from it?
I don't know, really. That surprised me a bit about the interim manager, because I thought Carrick would be the interim manager, and if they were waiting till the end of the season, I'd have put money on it being Carrick.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you'd give it Carrick to then look for an interim, because then that's just more turnover. It's more different ideas before, if you do have this big plan, a manager coming in and imposing his style on the team. But then it's just more turnover. It's more, I don't know, there's a lot more reason to go wrong.
Yeah, because especially if they're trying to bring this side together and trying to create this togetherness and this whole big team, because Man United were a force. When you look at Sir Alex Ferguson's sides in the past, this Man United team that we've all got, this ideal that they have, is it's not always the strongest side, but it's the most, like the system, everyone knows exactly what they're doing, and it's a really tight-knit squad. Whereas right now, I don't think they've got anything like that whatsoever. And if they're getting in managers, 3 managers in one season potentially, I don't understand how that's going to help this tight-knit squad whatsoever. I think all it's going to do is disjoint the squad, because who knows who's going to be playing every week. And as you said, the system and the styles, it doesn't make sense to me.
I was listening, I think it's to radio earlier as well, and they were saying how much of an influence is Ferguson having here, because he's clearly still involved with the club. He's sat in the director's box every game. He was very close with Solskjaer and actually stood up for him a few times when he was under pressure publicly. Yeah. So is the Carrick and Fletcher thing to do with Ferguson? But they didn't really have anyone else to bring in. And then it's all very confusing, because if Ferguson is having control, surely he'd want Carrick and people there that know the club in charge until they get a big manager.
I cannot get my head around it. It just makes no sense. It just baffles me. The more as we talk about it, the more clueless we are. The more you talk about it, the more you just think that I can't. The more I think about it, the more it just confuses me. I don't get where they're going with this. But then, even if with the interim manager, like even just specifically the interim manager, can you name anyone right now?
No.
When I looked at kind of the candidates that were on the list, who you believe realistically can come into Man United, and is it 6 months until June, May time, 5 or 6 months? Sorry, I keep forgetting what month we're in. I keep thinking it's the new year. I just want to get past Christmas. I just want to get past Christmas.
Well, it's 6, 7 months, isn't it, effectively?
Yeah, half a season left. Who realistically would come in for half a season and are to Man United's level?
I don't think there is anyone. Well, who would want to do it, knowing in 6 months you're out the door, regardless of the job you do? Because that's effectively what they're saying.
Unless you're a manager who wants a big step up and then can get this on their CV and said, I had 6 months at United. But you're not going to be able to get a good calibre of manager in, because no big manager like Zidane that people are talking about, for example, I know it's not going to happen, but why would somebody of that calibre of manager come in for 6 months knowing they're going to be booed out the door? It'd be absolutely ludicrous. It makes no sense. I don't get it. And
I wouldn't even know what names to throw out there as an interim. Would it be like Rooney? Would it be someone in an international job like Martinez? We spoke about the Villa job, but could he do it? Because it's a big club for 6 months, try and maybe get himself a longer term contract like Solskjaer did. But then it's just you're stuck in the same scenario.
Surely United will have learned from that. I don't think for a second, if this manager in the 6 months, I don't believe that after what we've seen, how it's turned out with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think if you take an interim manager, they have to stay as an interim manager, no matter how well they do. Whoever they've got in mind in the summer, we'll get on to who that could be. I believe they have to stick with them. They can't let this interim manager, because sides can get form. We've seen with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, the form is up and down. They have got a very good squad. And we spoke about in previous weeks, one of the best squads in the league. So they are going to get form. It wasn't going right for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but if a manager comes in, any manager of any degree of now in the league will be able to get that side playing, because they have got good footballers. Like when you look at that squad, Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, and you look at Van der Beek playing now, Sancho, Rashford, Ronaldo, Cavani, they have got a very good side. So I just hope they don't get blinded by this form that potentially could come in from this interim manager and give it them full time. But who then, realistically, let's skip to the summer then now. In the summer, who do you think realistically would be suitable for the job? Because there are a lot of names mentioned at the moment.
Yeah, so I got it up like the people that are highest in the betting earlier, just to have a look. So the names there are Poch, Rodgers, Carrick, Ten Hag, Blanc and Zidane. Straight away, I'm saying Carrick and Zidane are no's. Zidane's openly said he doesn't want it. He may as well have said, I don't want it. He doesn't want to live in England, Manchester, all that. I can't see it being Carrick long term. Poch, the fact that we've seen reports within a day saying he might be interested in Man U and he's not that happy at PSG, I think that speaks a lot because of all these history, the previous links Poch had with Man U when he was at Tottenham and all that, and like they thought he would have been the one after, or I can't remember, was it after Mourinho or Van Gaal? I can't remember. But
it was in that era, wasn't it? Yeah, that time.
Yeah, there's reports already coming out that he might be linked with it. I might lean towards Poch, but then I can also see Ten Hag would make a lot of sense if he wanted to do it. But that again is a risk. Someone coming from Dutch football.
Yeah.
Although he's got a lot of ideas and he's working wonders with Ajax, but the Dutch league. If you're given the Ajax team in the Dutch league, it's a big step up.
Who would you take then if you were on the board? Would you go for Poch then out of those lists? Not because I know your opinions on Brendan Rodgers, and if you want to state why you don't believe, because I'll come in after and to give you my opinion, but I know your opinions on Brendan Rodgers as a manager. But
I'd like to see Rodgers at Man U because I think it would be Solskjaer part 2. I think Brendan Rodgers is a decent manager. He's not an elite manager, and we've seen that. We saw that with Liverpool. He took them so far. He took them very close to his heart, but he still couldn't get over the line. We've seen now with his Leicester team, they look terrible compared to what they did. And even then, what did they do? They challenged for the top 4 and didn't get it.
Well, no, they just bottled it. They did just bottle it. They were in the top 4, weren't they, for the longest.
2 seasons in a row.
And they were last season in the top 4 for the longest.
I'm really not convinced by Brendan Rodgers as a manager over multiple seasons or even a season. I think he gets the team playing well. He spends a decent amount of money, but also like at the end, what does he actually achieve?
Yeah, I think when you compare to that list of managers, I completely agree. I don't think he's on that level. I think potentially with Ten Hag, I think that could be quite an interesting suit because obviously with his Ajax team, it's extreme high pressure football, and they've got.
I can't see that working with this squad.
That's what I was going to get on to. There's a few players who could potentially work, like Jadon Sancho, for example. Jadon Sancho in that Dortmund side last year was one of the most successful pressers in the midfield in all of Europe. He was unreal in that pressing role. And there are a couple of players that would suit that. When you look at Van der Beek as well, there are a few players that you could imagine could work in that. Greenwood would, and I actually think Fred probably would seem a little bit better in that system because he's got a lot of energy. And I think a few players, like a bit of the core of that side, would really be suited to it. But then it's the players like Cavani and your likes of Ronaldo and the likes of Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. I think he can press a bit, but he's not on their level. But I think that could potentially be suited. But I completely agree with you what you're saying. I think Pochettino is the most. I think it's the best suited decision at the time. But I just can't. I know you're saying about being the linked. And I might sound deluded because I said this about Steven Gerrard and I couldn't see it happening. And I got a slap in the face last week when I said there's no chance he's going because I don't get it. I wouldn't get why Pochettino would leave because PSG right now, I get it, the league isn't great. There's not much competition and he's only in the job to win the Champions League. But he's in the beautiful city of Paris. He's got an absolutely unreal depth of squad. He's got as much finances as he wants. It's kind of the perfect. Most managers would bite your hand off for that job because it is a bit of a breeze throughout the season. The most respect I can give, and then it's the big games on like your Wednesday and your Tuesday nights in the Champions League. But obviously, as you said, he keeps getting linked to the Premier League. He got linked with Tottenham, and he's been linked with Man United. There must be some substance to it, or it could be just fake news, absolutely doing us over. But I think I agree with you with Pochettino being probably one of the best suited for the job.
I get what you're saying about PSG, and obviously, who wouldn't want to manage that squad and those like 3 of the best players in the world up front? But this is just a gut feeling. I don't know why, but I think Poch might not like that style of management because if you look at like Neymar and his history at Paris, and like it's a bit of like it's almost like looking after a child at times. And like Mbappe wants to go, we all know that he wants to go.
Well, he's leaving. Yeah.
He's probably off to Madrid. So maybe he's looking at it and be like, do I actually want this or do I want something where I can build? And he knows if he doesn't deliver in the Champions League, he's probably sacked and he'll get a lovely payout on that. But do you want that when you've got mediocre opposition in the league? Maybe he wants a challenge. And if you look at what he did with Tottenham, bringing people through, they had a really good like team spirit. like they will work for each other. I think the fit at United makes a lot of sense for him, and I do just wonder if he's like a little bit unhappy at PSG. And, like, does he want to work with Neymar and Messi? I'm not sure.
Doesn't it feel crazy saying, does somebody want?
Does,
I get what you're saying, but even when you say it, it sounds absolutely ridiculous as a line. But one thing I think that we underestimate is if he does go to Man United, I think Man United, you might think this is ridiculous. I think it is the most high pressure job in Europe. It's because obviously they are the biggest club in the world, and I still believe that the brand image and everything with them, they compete with your likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona. They are absolutely huge. They are.
This is why I'm finding it a bit strange about United, because like they are the biggest club in the world globally, like fan base, like attention, all of that. It's them in Real Madrid. They are. So why is it so? Since Ferguson's left, obviously they've had multiple people. Why is it that none of the top managers want to go there? There's got to be a reason.
But this is what
is it just pressure, or is it?
I think it is
the ownership? Is it?
Obviously, I think a lot of people moan about the ownership, but there's one thing they have done. Yes, they've taken a lot of money out of Man United, but the amount they've invested, when you look in the last 10 years, they are still up there with Cities and your Chelseas. The highest spenders, they spend so much, it is unreal, and their wage bills are absolutely insane. But I just think it's because of them being so big, I think it's quite a daunting job. As much as a lot of people say, yeah, it's a brilliant job, but it's so scrutinised. And we look at it in the media, look at the front page every week, or you look at sports news, it's always Man United there. You're literally scrutinised to every little minuscule amount. Every decision you make, whether you make substitutions, it is scrutinised in the media. You watch Match of the Day, no matter what, they are usually the first team to play. I think when you look at it, I think it's because it's such high pressure and such high demand. And because no one's got to the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson's level since they've left, I just think it's quite a daunting and too big a role for a lot of managers. And we've seen some big managers, like Jose Mourinho, one of the biggest egos. This guy got knocked down a peg by Man United. We've seen Van Gaal. Yeah. A lot of big managers have tried to take on the job, and it's not worked out.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because obviously the bar that Ferguson set is probably unattainable for anyone in the modern, like in this version of football we have today. Yeah. But for them to not win anything other than, is it an FA Cup and a Europa League? What?
Well, that was Van Gaal won the FA Cup or the League Cup, and then Jose Mourinho won the Europa League, didn't he? And since then, there's been nothing since Jose Mourinho.
And look, with the amount of money they've spent, like you said, that's just unacceptable. And like, are people like? I get what you're saying about the pressure, because the pressure is to win a trophy. But if they're not challenging at the top of the Premier League, they're not near to winning a trophy.
I know, I agree. And then not only that, it's the size of, you look at what players that Jose Mourinho bought in, they are still around this club. And Pogba, even though it's not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sign it, players like Pogba, for example, I'm not using him as a scapegoat, but an example like Pogba, it's not his player, but he's scrutinised if he can't make Pogba work in a system. Whereas Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might not want to play him, but people talk about his price tag and about how he's the best player, and he's got to take on kind of the rubble that's been left in the explosion behind. He's got to sweep up, and it's constant. Everything just gets dragged from manager to manager. It always seems to be the same problems, and it's the squad that is potentially left from the manager behind. And that's another thing. Like when you look at this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer side that they've built, we're going to see this whole thing change again when the next manager comes in. And there'll be a few core players which will stay in there. One I really can't wait for is Van der Beek. I'm so glad he played.
I agree.
I'm so glad he scored as well. It's so beautiful, metaphorical. It's gorgeous. I love it.
We saw glimpses of Ajax, of like the player he could be, and he just hasn't even been given an opportunity since, which is actually like, the United fans are upset about it, and rightly so, because he had all the signs of it, like a really good, top quality midfielder, like all over the park.
Oh yeah, and if you Man United beat Real Madrid to his signing, you are not a bad player if you are not knocking off Real Madrid to sign a player. He is good, and we saw it in, obviously this Watford game's a bad example, but there were moments that I watched, like the highlights of him specifically. Match of the Day kind of did go into a little bit of analysis of it. You saw the way he takes the ball, because of it, the way he's played in Ajax ball, the way they play. He would take the ball in any situation. He's so relaxed and casual on it. will turn on it. He's not the bulkiest player, but because he's quite small and that lower centre of gravity, he can literally just roll players like it's nothing. Both feet. I really like him as a player. And I think that's the one thing I think is good looking forward to the next manager, whoever takes over, or this interim manager, or even Carrick. It's mental saying 3 managers. 3 managers by June. It's crazy even saying that. But hopefully he gets a chance, because I think they've got some good players and that they just need to make this system work. And potentially this might be the last time we see McFred, which is crazy to think. It's a sad era to end. Like, I have enjoyed the memes. I've enjoyed laughing at United. But I'm not, as a non-Man United fan, and obviously we're not trying to compete, West Brom aren't, with Man United. So I'm all for more competition. I'm quite excited to see what comes of this new era. When there's a new manager coming in place, it's like with Antonio Conte, I'm excited to see what's going on there. And when these new managers come in, I'm excited to see what goes on, because it doesn't really affect me. I know it affects you, and but I'm quite excited to see what comes of this, because obviously it's either going to be an unreal or bad. That's a really obvious thing to say, but I can't see them staying at the level they are now. It will either potentially drop even further, or they could go up to the heights that this squad.
I can't see within a season and a half how they're going to have that big an improvement where they are, where they want to be. I just can't see it. I think they are at this level, and I think the same can be said for like Arsenal. Like, we're also on trying to get back to that level. Yeah. And I think United are, and I think it takes time. And we saw with like Liverpool, when they weren't at that level, they had to completely rebuild, and they had to go through multiple phases. To get back to competing for Premier League titles is a very long process.
Yeah, I think the main word is patience to take from it. I think as you're trying to talk about, when you talk specifically about you and Liverpool, is the Liverpool fans were patient with Klopp, weren't they? They saw the big picture, but the thing is, they saw the improvements, the foundations.
But it's not just with Klopp. It was like they saw improvement with Rodgers, and with Rodgers, even slightly with like Hodgson, a tiny bit of improvement. Like, that's the thing. It's not just one manager that turns it. It's over like probably a decade or 5 to 7 years. Like, it's a long process, because where they are at the moment, they're not good enough, even with that squad.
It's crazy, isn't it? I feel it's just, when you step back and actually think about it, like even in our lifetime, to think this is United that we're talking about, it's crazy, isn't it? It is absolutely mental.